But we are fortunate to have a treat prior to the break with Michel Pham coming to us from Columbia Business School, the Kravis Professor of Marketing there. Michel got his PhD from the University of Florida and again takes the psychological approach, so we have you switching back and forth between those who like Greek letters and those who don't. And we're moving back to one who's less fond of them. He studies mostly affect, mood, emotions, how that affects consumer decision-making and other consumer behaviors. He was the president of the Society of Consumer Psychology, the leading organization in consumer psychology. He's so in demand that he has been a visitor around the world, in Shanghai, in Hong Kong, in Singapore, domestically in Chicago, in Europe, in Belgium, and at the Sorbonne. Please welcome Michel Pham.
Thank you very much, Nathan. So it's a pleasure to present to this audience and pleasure to just be attending this conference. I enjoy it tremendously. As Nathan described, most of my work over the past 25 years has been at the interface between judgment and decision-making, consumer behavior, and marketing, and the area of feelings and emotions. And I try to understand a lot about how feelings operate and how they change our judgment. And the project I'm going to share with you is very connected to this broad theme of feelings and emotions. And I'm going to talk about a concept that is at the center of everything we care about as marketers. It's about liking, okay? So how do we make consumers to like our stuff more? Like, how do we make them to love our brands more? How do we make our consumers to have a favorable attitude toward our proposal, our politicians? How do we make our consumers to be more satisfied with what we offer? And so it's been a very central construct in marketing, both in academia, thousands of articles and books, as well as in the industry where you can find a lot of interest as well. Now, if you look at the way people look at the notions of liking and disliking, it's very simple why we care about that. Because we know that there's some kind of stimuli we can bring to the consumer in the marketplace. It could be a brand, it could be a product, it could be a politician, it could be an ad. And then the consumer is going to make an assessment of that product, or that brand, or that politician. And they say, you know, I like this, I don't like this. And we care about that response because it is predictive of something we really want to see, which is a change in their behavior. It could be buying, not buying, willing to pay a higher price, lower price, consuming more, consuming less. So the real thing that underlies the general interest in this construct is the fact that it's not a construct per se, but because it is leading to something we care about in marketing, which is the behavior, the decision that follows from the act of assessment. Okay, so that's the standard theory of evaluation put in its simple form. Now, I'd like to bring you to the real world and think about yourself, about what you actually do. And I will venture a proposal that a lot of what we do when we evaluate things has absolutely no purpose. There's no judgment, no decision to be made. There's no behavior to adjust. We just do it. You know, you may be with your friends in the store and say, oh, I like this dress. You know, it's not too pretty. Yeah, it's a nice car. This is an interesting product in the catalog. Maybe looking at houses. Oh, it's a pretty house. Don't you think so? You know, this is a show I like. This is a pair of shoes. This is interesting. So we make evaluations all the time without necessarily having a purpose, an obvious purpose. And you see that as well in the online world. Of course, a mainstay of most of the online properties that they request and encourage you to provide some kind of an assessment, whatever the platform you provide. So yes, consumers do that very eagerly. There's tons of evaluations going on, but I would venture that even those ones absolutely have very often no purpose, no real purpose. Okay, let's look at this book here being evaluated on Amazon. It's this Harry Potter book. It has, by the time, if you look there, about 12,000 evaluations. You can sort of see from the stars there that it's overwhelmingly positive. Now you're a consumer, rationally, what information can you really provide of any use with your own solo evaluation? Nothing. Nothing useful you would do. Yet people do it all the time. I can push it a bit more. Let's look at this video here. Taylor Swift. By the time this consumer comes into the website on YouTube, look at this, 1.6 billion views already, 6 million ratings already. By the time you look at this video, you reach this, your evaluation really has absolutely no rational value. Who cares what you have to say? Who cares? But you're going to do it. You're going to do it, just like these 5 million people have done before you. All right? So what I'm going to suggest to you is that a lot of what is driving the psychology of evaluation is not the behavior that follows. Very often when there's no stakes, no decision to be made, consumers will still evaluate. And the question, why is it they do that? And our theory is that it's because it's fun. It's actually just fun to evaluate things, whether you like it or you don't like it. And we call that the pleasure of liking or disliking. Now, Sherry has been the hero of this morning. I'm going to continue. She is my co-author on this paper, a great doctoral student of mine. And so this is a project we've been working on for a number of years. And we have worked on it for a long time, collected a lot of data. There's over probably close to 3,000 consumers that we have tested in our lab. I'm not going to walk you through all the results, but there's lots of data here. I'm going to tell you two things. One, we have lots of data, but the caveat is that most of it is experimental, so we have to control for a lot of things. It's a little artificial, I would admit, but we have lots of data, and we think we can tell you a pretty coherent story based on the data, but we will admit that it is somewhat artificial, so bear with me on that. So let me tell you a little bit. The paradigm that we follow is relatively simple. Very often we are going to be using judgments involving T-shirts. So we take T-shirts from a popular T-shirt website, and we show them a series of T-shirts to consumers, one at a time, a set of 10. And then for each of these T-shirts, we ask them, do you like this? You don't like this? And so they just click to tell us whether they like it or not. Okay? And then we're going to measure, hey, was it fun to do that? This judgment that you've given us? So we're going to have these data points. Hey, this was fun, this is not fun. Now that data point in and of itself is not very interesting unless I can compare it with something else. Okay, so it's fun compared to what? So then you realize you need a comparison point, and to be clever, you have to be not just one comparison point, you need to have multiple comparison points. So our comparison points will be other judgments that people can make about these T-shirts that will be, not painful, right? The things are actually easy to do, very commonly made, something that doesn't require a great deal of expertise that would be relevant to do. So we have a series of control conditions in each of our experiments. Okay? So here in this particular experiment, one group, the experimental group, says, I like it, I don't like it. The other group, we have 3 of them. Some of them tell us, it's more casual, less casual. This one is more colorful. This one is less colorful. This one matches the baseball cap. This one doesn't match the baseball cap. And then after they have done that, we'll tell them, hey, was it enjoyable to do this? Okay, that's a very simple paradigm that we use. And so let me show you the data and some of the many data points that we have across many experiments we have conducted. So here's how much fun people have telling us, these T-shirts match, this T-shirt match the baseball cap, this one match or does not match the baseball cap. This is how much fun. They didn't mind. It was a 5.8 on a 7.8. They sort of enjoy doing it. They enjoy also looking at the colorfulness of those T-shirts. They enjoy telling us about how casual it is, casual, not casual. But if you ask them the question, did you like it, you don't like it, then you see there's a different pattern. They like it even more. That's even more fun to do that. Okay? So this is somewhat stylized. We just show them the T-shirt in a rather contrived setting. We're going to try to make it somewhat more realistic. We bring them to the lab. We show them a real-world website. This is an Abercrombie & Fitch website. They browse through it, and then we ask them to record on a piece of paper the T-shirts that they particularly like versus, or not the T-shirts, the products, on any products that they particularly like or dislike. And they write that on a piece of paper, which they give us at the end of the experiment. And the control group, we ask them to write down the products that they particularly found colorful or not colorful. Okay, that's the control condition. And then again, how fun was this task, this experiment you just did? And then the pattern is exactly the same. This is how much fun it was to do this task you just asked me to do. But if you ask me to look for things that I like versus dislike, I find it more enjoyable. So now, and we have lots of experiments like that, so I can tell you this is a pretty robust pattern. One question you might ask yourself, okay, do they even know that? Okay, do they have an intuition that this is going to be fun? A priori, not after doing it, but a priori, to be judging things what you like versus not like. And so we did an experiment like that where we tell them, you're going to be looking at 10 T-shirts, And we're going to ask you to make some kind of judgments about this, and how much would that be fun to do that? And so, would it be fun to evaluate the price of these T-shirts? Would it be fun to evaluate whether it's for an older person or for a younger person? Would it be fun to evaluate whether it's going to be more casual or less casual? Would it be fun to be evaluating whether it's going to be colorful versus not colorful, about whether the gender matches the man versus the woman, or actually matches the baseball cap versus not? And this is overall, I think people give us a sort of levels of expected enjoyment of the task. But if we ask them, would it be fun to evaluate whether you're going to like it or not like it? You can sort of see, that I want to do. This is really fun. This is something I want to do. This is something that people really enjoy doing compared to other judgments. All right, so now we see that people like to evaluate things. Now, you know anything about the real world, you realize that not everything that you get to evaluate you necessarily like. Okay? Imagine I ask you to say, how much do you like these ladies? Okay? Or how much do you like this car? How much do you like these dresses? Or this house? Or this guy? Or maybe this product? A lot of things are not necessarily things that you find appealing. And so is there fun to evaluate things that you don't like? Okay? That's the question. So you have to run an experiment. In fact, we have run multiple experiments on that. It's a very simple stylized one. So similar type of design as what we have seen before. We have showed them T-shirts. One condition, do you like, don't like it? The other condition is the control judgment. Is it colorful versus not? But now we select the T-shirt so that we have two sets. We have a set that we know from a pretest that it is quite appealing. And then we have another set that we know from a pretest that people actually say, I don't, it's not rating, okay? So there's two sets, right? And then we say, was it fun to evaluate those T-shirts? So let's look at the data broken down by the sets. Okay? For the people who looked at the T-shirts that were appealing, again, the same pattern, okay? Liking versus disliking compared to a control judgment is more enjoyable. What happens for the things that's not appealing? I'll let you process that a little bit in your head to sort of generate some hypothesis about the data pattern, and then I'm going to tell you it's exactly the same. So not only it is fun to evaluate the things that you like, but it's also fun to evaluate things that you don't like. So when you say, I don't like this thing, and it is pleasurable for me to express this. Now I'll tell you there's some major implications that comes along out of that. Okay? I'll come back to this later. So now why does it happen? So now, we also consumer psychologists, and in academia we have to, not just to show phenomena, we have to explain the psychology behind it. It turns out that it's driven by two psychological processes. One of them is called self-expression. People like to evaluate things and find pleasure in evaluating things because it's an opportunity for them to say who they are. So when I say, I like Trump, it's saying, expressing something about myself, and people love to talk about themselves, right? So self-expression is a major thing that you will see is that word. Let me show you how it is, okay? That it is. Okay, so here's an experiment in which, again, the same paradigm. In one group, you evaluate the T-shirts for like versus dislike. In the control group, you evaluate for something else. In this case, it's casualness versus more or less casual. But we have two conditions. In one condition, you tell us, and we call that you externalize your judgment. The other condition, you say, don't tell us. Do it in your head. Just internalize that judgment. Don't tell us. And at the end of the experiment, we're going to ask them, was it fun to do this task? And in the externalized judgment, which is the experiment we've been doing all along, the pattern is just as it was before. It's more fun to evaluate things for likes and dislikes than it is to do a control judgment. But if you're only doing it in your head, the effect disappears. It's not fun to evaluate things if you can't tell me or if you can't somehow express whether you like it or don't like it. So something is very important. It's the ability to express your like and dislike is the big driver of what is at work here. Now, we don't want you just to express. We want to express something about you. Okay? It's the me that I'm expressing that counts. So let me show you that it is that. One experiment, we ask people to evaluate T-shirts. Do you like it or dislike? That's as the usual. Here's how much fun they are doing that. Similar means as what we've seen in all of our experiments. It's actually very much fun. But in control condition, we tell them, don't evaluate it for you, evaluate it for one of your best friends. And just to tell us about your best friends, likes and dislikes, it's not fun. Yes? So it's not just expressing something, your likes and dislikes per se, it's about expressing your likes and dislikes. That is really fun. Okay? It's self-expression, not expression of others. Okay? The other thing that is driving the effect over and above self-expression is something we call self-discovery. You know, one thing that people do all the time, which makes no rational reason for those of you who study rationality, you go to the fortune tellers, you read the horoscope. Maybe you don't, but many people do. I'm sure a lot of us do, right? And then why do we do this? Because we like to discover something about ourselves. Now, we like to learn something about myself, okay? And expressing what you like or dislike is a way by which you learn something about yourself, okay? And so it's not just about telling others what you like, dislike, and who you are, but it's somehow realizing for yourself what kind of person you are, okay? And so one experiment, this is a very complex experiment in terms of the way it was done, so I'm going to describe it at an abstract level. We have people evaluate not teachers this time. We have them looking at letters of the alphabet. And they look at letters of the alphabet. Do you like this letter? Do you like this letter? Very exciting experiment, right? And then guess what? Guess what? It works. It works. Even looking at letters of the alphabet, but compared to a controlled judgment, we say, you know what? I like it. It's fun. It's fun. Now it's fun provided we do one thing. It's fun if we give them a sense that by doing this judgment, they learn something about themselves. Okay? If we somehow remove that sense of learning, poof, it disappears. Okay? And so there's this sense of learning about yourself is another reason why people like to make those evaluations. So here's a slide that summarizes our results. People evaluate all the time. It's not because not necessarily because there's something to do out of the evaluation. People evaluate all the time also because it's actually fun, even if you don't like the things you evaluate. Okay, that's the general findings, and there are two major psychological processes that are at work. So now there are some marketers here in the audience, and then why would we care about this? I think it matters. Okay? One of the things that really is important for many content providers is about engagement with the materials, right? In the online world, super important. And then everything is about engineering greater engagement. So I've done consulting work with this company here called DNA Info, which is a hyper-local news. And at that time I was engaged. I had not finished this research, and I didn't realize what it had to say, but so I gave them a bunch of advice that I think I could have supplemented with these findings. But how do I get engagement with these news? Okay, and I could do lots of things. But just simply providing a method for liking it, disliking it, that is a very cheap means for engagement. You don't have to do anything about the ratings. Just providing the opportunity for people to do the ratings. Maybe the link doesn't even work. But just that device that people provide the rating, that is a way to increase engagement. Now, you don't have to do that just in the online world. Okay? Think about what we do in marketing. In any retailer, we always wait until a transaction has been completed before we ask the consumer, did you like it or you don't like it? And that's of course it's useful to see they like our product or not, but what we are depriving ourselves of is another source of experience utility we could be providing. So there's lots of consumers who spend time on your site are not going to buy anything, and then yes, and those guys, when they go, you say, well, there's no value I've provided. They have not done anything. They just look at this. Well, you could have provided a little bit of experience utility by giving them an opportunity to evaluate things prior to purchase. Things that you just brought in. Do you like this product? Do you like this product? You don't like it? That is another opportunity. So when you have all these consumers showrooming, which is one of the major complaints retailers now are raising. Oh, they come in and they look at our stuff, they take pictures, and they go. Well, why don't you give them a chance to rate the stuff? And they rate, I like it. And I think there will be two things. First of all, you create experience utility, and I bet that you increase commitment and an opportunity for you to eventually do the transaction. So if you even have an old world of catalogs, there's still some catalogs that exist out there. So you show things out there. We just show up products. We never provide a way for people to say, I like it, I don't like it. You have these big IKEA catalogs you receive in your home, or you carry it. So yes, and what if you, instead of just showing the product per se, you had a little bit box like this, And say, these things you like. I bet this thing, A, they will enjoy it more. And second, you increase commitment that for some of the product that they like, they might even have a transaction. Implication number 3. This is connected to some of the question that the Vails exec had. There's a lots of problems with response rates. We have sent out surveys, and we do want to get feedback from our consumers. They don't bother to give us the liking, right? And we need the data. Now, the question is, how do you ask the question? Yes, we know people not only do that, but there's still a bunch of people who are not going to do it because they don't see enough value in giving us that ratings. Now let's go back how we ask that ratings. Imagine I am TripAdvisor, okay? And I send this thing to the consumer. In fact, this is something they sent me. And they will say, have you been there? Travelers want to see more reviews of this place. Now, as a consumer, why would I want to do that? I'm not that helpful to others. I don't care about the others. Who do I care about? Me. Me. Now, change the question. It's not about helping others. It's about giving me a chance to express who I am. Now, I'm going to change the wording. And I would say, finally, tell other travelers how you feel about this place. And I bet response rate goes up. Because it's not about the others. It's not about the place. It's about you. Okay? And whenever you give an opportunity for people to express who they are, or to feel like they know by this expression what they are like, that is something that is very motivating. Now, the last thing I want to share with you is something that really puzzled me for a long time. Okay? I go on Yahoo, almost every day. I'm a little addicted to Yahoo. But lo and behold, almost every day, especially in the evening, about half the page is full of Kardashians. It's full of Kardashians, right? And then I look at the comments, and all the comments that people have on the Kardashian, 20 articles, is all negative. People just right there say, I don't want to see them. Yahoo, stop giving us the Kardashians, right? And we are sick and tired of reading. It's overwhelmingly negative. And I say, as a naive marketing professor, I say, don't they get it? It's really obvious these people don't want to see it. Now I realize that, wow, that's not the real way to look at this. Because I think now when you realize that people have fun to tell you they don't like things, now you can monetize that. You can monetize the dislikes. So look at some of the properties that people really hate, and then give them a chance to tell you they don't like it, and then you make money out of that. It's a little bit some of the things that some of the gossip magazine have learned a while back, okay? That you can make money out of people disliking things, but you have to give them a chance to tell you, okay? So thank you very much for your time. Hope you enjoyed the talk, like it, or dislike it, but express it, you'll feel better. All right, any question? Yes, Tali.
So you gave this IKEA example,
Yeah.
if you just add the stars, but there I'm expressing myself, but who is going to receive it? I thought the important component is that there's an audience, that somebody will actually, right?
I think that if there is an external representation of your, we have not done that experiments where, imagine that like you write in our surveys, you like this t-shirt or not, and then I take it and I throw it in the garbage, right? That experiment, we have not done it. We think, and I think, I don't know, Sherry, you feel free to disagree, but I think that the mere fact that you have put it on a paper and you have expressed it externally will be sufficient, even there's not a real audience. Because don't forget, you're also a part of the audience. There's a chance I have at least told myself that this is something I like or I dislike. Yes, Pete, and then we'll go there. Yes?
So instead of like an election, instead of voting for a candidate, suppose we just had a like-dislike for each one, do you think that voting rates could go up?
Very good. It's a great application. It's a great implication. I mean, how do you get more people to the voting booth? Okay? And you say, now you're going to give us two judgments. Okay? You're going to tell us who you want to vote for. But by the way, while you're there, tell us also who you don't want to go. Something like more opportunities to express yourself. I bet it's going to go up. Now, especially in these elections. In this election, oh my God. You can see from the primaries, the people really want to tell you the people they don't like. Right? Okay, thank you. Yes, no, so yes, please.
So my question was regarding, so you mentioned about the shopping experience where you can like ask before the purchase actually happens.
Yeah.
So did you try to see if like the fun element drops if you have to actually follow up on your expression? Like if they say, I like this dress, and then you say, will you buy this? Does that like fun element go down if they have to actually?
Yeah, it's a great question. The short answer is no. We have not done that experiment. The follow-up answer would be, to go to Kelly. She has studied some social psychology work. There's a guy that's mentioned in her slide called Bob Cialdini, and everything that seems to come out from his literature is that once people have made a small step one way, they make it more likely to keep going that way. So the prediction would be, without no data, except than his, would be the fact that people are more likely to follow in that direction. The expectations might be inflated, but they're more likely to follow through with the behavior. Okay. I think there was one hand on this side. Yes, please.
Which is more pleasurable, just simple like, or dislike, or that 5-point?
Yeah, we've done that experiment. It doesn't make any difference. It makes no difference. At least we've done it both binary. We've done it 5-point scale, and it doesn't make a difference. So it's also pleasurable. It's really about the content of what you're expressing rather than the exact format.
And the other stuff where you like this color or not, why is that less pleasurable? Is it because it's more work, or?
We've control for everything you can imagine. So we have lots of control judgments, but we chose these ones because it's easy to do, right? And so there's no difficulty or familiarity, whatever. These are all fairly commonplace judgment to make. I have 0 minutes. I'm supposed to get off the stage. Is that right? Is that my hint? Okay, so we can talk at the break. Thanks.